Okay, live. Okay, hello everyone, and welcome. This is a Bee Craft Hangout, November. My God, how did it get to November? What happened there?
Through October, I think, James.
Oh, all right, thank you.
Yeah,
How are
okay,
you?
all right. Yeah, thanks, Wendy. Right, I was going to clear while we're going live here. But how did it get to November? I find that quite frightening. But anyway, end of the beekeeping season. We're now fully rested, I should think.
I'm just about to try and join the hangout, but I can't get through.
I'm going to mute Claire because there we go. She's now muted there. She can't go. But anyway, so welcome everybody. Sorry, lackluster start. We've had some technological issues, as is often the case. But we're sort of as our usual crew. So it's me and Wendy. Hi, Wendy. I don't know if you want to introduce the people to maybe who don't know you from the Hangouts before. Do you want to just give a sort of a little brief introduction as to who you are?
Fine, I'm Wendy. I'm Deputy Marketing Manager, so I have the joy of working with James, and it's really good fun, actually. You can probably tell. My role is really looking after the associations, making contact with them, and trying to support them with the training courses, with back issues and flyers and any other free bits and pieces that I can get there. Personally, I am a beekeeper. I've only been a beekeeper for about 6 years, but I've got quite a lot of hives, so a reasonable amount of experience. I've seen a fair amount going on in the hives.
And you're our poly expert because you like your poly hives. So that's all
I do like my poly hives. Yeah.
Fab. All right. Well, look, and then let's bring in. So Claire, Claire, you're sort of new to the Bee Craft team. So do you want to just sort of give everyone a bit of a flavour as to who you are and what you're doing with this?
Yep, absolutely. Thank you. It's really good to be here. I started in August as one of the new deputy editors at Bee Craft, and so yeah, I'm at the moment looking after the magazine production, some editorial work and proofreading, and yeah, and I'll be moving into a role looking after bee kids as well. So, and I've got like 3 years worth of beekeeping experience. But I'm yet to find a location to put a new hive, my new colony for next year. So,
where are you based? Where are you?
In Caversham, near Reading, Berkshire.
Okay, so you're down the south because Wendy, you're a little bit sort of geographically different. I think we're all over the shop. So we've got sort of beekeepers all around the UK, which is nice. So
yeah.
So for those of you who are on, let me just introduce a little bit just quickly. I'm just going to share my screen with you all. So. You'll see on here, this is the Bee Craft website, so most of you will be watching it here, and underneath the little screen that you can see, you've got an option here to ask a question. So this is a sort of a free session. It's open for you to ask any question, and you just have to sort of click this link at the bottom and just put name and email and your question, and I will see that on my emails coming through, and I will try to bring everybody's questions in. So please, don't hesitate to pop a question. I'm just going to see if Claire's around, because I know she was on the phone. Hi, Claire, are you there? Miss Claire, are you there? No, I'll leave it open for now because she might want to join us at some point. So, right, let's just sort of kick off. We've had a question in, and I know, funny enough, we had the same question in from last month, Wendy, and you and I sort of debated this a little bit about the use of supers, and I can still hear Claire. She might be on the phone. So, and overwintering of supers, do we put it above or below the brood box? And I remember you and I distinctly talked about it last month, and you and I both do it above the supers. Sorry, above the brood, if I remember correctly. What was your thoughts from last month? Can you remember what you said?
Well, actually, I wasn't online last month, James. So I think you've imagined that. But never mind, eh?
Who was it then? Who was it? Who were we talking about?
Supers, and store them separately. So I don't super above or below.
Ah, so you don't leave any there at all?
No. No, they're all taken off. Being polystyrene, we clean them. We scrub all our supers at the end of a season before they're put away. Most of them will go away with wet supers, wet frames, to be honest. And into a stack, but with newspaper in between every 2, so that if we were to get wax moth in there, that it would restrict it. The newspaper would restrict it from going from one super to another. So every year I have to say we plan to put on an inner hive cover and take back the extracted supers to enable the bees to go up and clean the frames and take any residual honey down into the brood box to store. But it's always been a plan, but actually never been achieved. So I can't pass any comment on that, I'm afraid.
No, fair enough. Claire, obviously you're sort of relatively new like me. What have you done this with your supers in terms of leaving a super on, which seems to be the way that most people?
Yeah, from what I remember, because the hives that I
Fucking thing.
Oh.
the hives that
Oh, Claire, that's wonderful. Excuse the language, everybody. I've just popped her an email saying that she's ready. Oh, the love of technology with Claire. That's wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful. I think on the recording I might just have to edit that out, I think. Anyway, Claire, what have you done in the past couple of winters for you?
If I've understood it correctly, the question, so supering up or down, and I work with my bee mentor. I believe we supered up, so we would keep a super. That means obviously above the brood box with, yeah. So that's why I believe we did, but yeah.
It's exactly what I've always done, and that's how I was taught. To go up, because bees naturally sort of migrate upwards. So it's a bit different. So Wendy, when you don't leave any on there, what do you do come early season next year if you're not leaving any stores in there for them?
In what way? Well, if they need, obviously we go around and heft. If we need to feed, which we have gone round, and some of ours, particularly nukes, have needed feeding, then we have an inner hive cover, which in the polyhive, it's literally a piece of, I suppose it's plastic, but it's thick plastic, you know. Just have a hole in the middle, so that the bees could get up. We use a super as an eek.
Still can't hear a bloody thing.
Hello, Claire. We can hear you.
Hello, Claire. We can hear you. This is a joy. I love this.
So,
I tell you what. You carry on. I'm going to deal with Claire and get her onto this. Okay.
Right. So I use a super as an eek. So it's just an empty super with no frames, and the roof on top of that. So when I need, I would actually cover over the small hole in the inner hive cover until I need to feed. If I need to feed fondant, then fondant I put into plastic pound tubs, and then I can just take the roof off the eek and on top of the hole. So that way, that's my way of actually feeding them fondant in the winter. Because that enables me to, the inner hive cover, because it's clear plastic, you can see through it, so you got an idea what's going on in the hive. Hefting tells me if I need to feed, and if I do feed, then it's a case of going back quite quickly. And in order to insulate it, although polyhives are great for insulation, but when I've got an empty eek like that, I usually use some rectocell in there. So I cut a hole in the rectocell for the tub to go into. And this year we've actually put we had a load of bubble wrap here, so I've put a bit of bubble wrap around as well, just for insulation for them.
And remind everyone
Wendy,
where you are. Sorry, Claire, just remind everyone where you are, Wendy, so everyone can understand that.
I'm in North Devon. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, it is, because obviously people who perhaps haven't seen this before won't know exactly where you are. So that it's just, you may have a polyhive, but obviously you're still in a relatively warm area. So you still put bubble wrap around?
No. I'd only put bubble wrap inside the eek around the tub of fondant that I put on, because the eek is an empty area and I don't want them having to heat that, obviously. you know, and although it's fairly mild down here, we do get some pretty hefty winds, which can be really cold because I'm coastal. So most of my hives are within a couple of miles of the coast.
Got you. What about you, Claire? How do you find that from your side? Claire without any, just in case Claire with any is now listening.
No, I was just going to ask the question, a bit of a beginner's question. I mean, does it, because I think, do bees naturally sort of move upwards when they're in the hive anyway? So would that make a difference in terms of where you put the super, below or above the brood box, just in the general traffic that they move in?
Yeah, yes, in my experience, that's what I've been told. Yeah, they move up generally. The idea being, though, is that they're behind, if it's down beneath the brood box, is the fact that it's easier for them to travel up. That was one of the.
Sorry, James, you're breaking up.
Oh, sorry. Are you hearing me now a bit better? Are you hearing me now? Are you hearing me now? Claire, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, I think
No,
Wendy's frozen.
It might be Wendy's connection. Okay, fair enough. But no, I was just saying that for me, sort of in the past, it's been very much that they can travel up easily with the brood as well, with the stores. So it's just nice and easy from there. Okay, so Wendy has indeed. In fact, I'm just going to unmute you. Wendy, are you still there, Wendy?
Yeah,
you're still there. There you are.
Yes, I am. I'm muting my microphone because you're going a bit. You know that comedian that used to do the, you know, the microphone bit. Anyway, sorry.
Oh, if I can be as funny as him, I'd be very happy.
You sound it tonight, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's good. That's great, isn't it? Okay, fine. So I'm not sure. Claire, are you hearing us, Claire, with Mrs. Waring? No, she's there. She's in person, but I don't think she's non-existent, which is a real shame. So Claire's our editor, for those of you who perhaps don't know, and her use of English is written English is excellent. And I've just discovered she's got some new words in the verbal sense as well.
Have you unmuted, Claire? Sorry.
No, I haven't, but she would still be able to hear me. So
okay.
I don't dare unmute at the minute. That's the problem. So until I know that she's there, then I'm a bit worried. Okay, fine. So the interesting thing, we've had a few questions coming in from Facebook today around this. So I've had a Tom McCarthy on the Facebook stuff saying. Oh, by the way, incidentally, if any of you guys have the watchers and the listeners on this, if any of you have any strong opinions one way or the other as to go above or beneath the brood in terms of winter and why you do it, please let us know. In that ask a question box beneath this video, please pass a comment as well. The whole point of this is that it's meant to sort of show that everybody does things differently in the beekeeping world, and hopefully there's justifications for why. So please just pop your own comment in beneath this video so that I can actually bring that in and say, well, Fred thinks that, and Bob thinks that, and Georgina thinks this. So please do. So we had a question coming in on Facebook earlier on from Tom McCarthy. Thank you, Tom. He's seen sodium hydroxide for sale at a beekeeping supplier, and he's asking, please tell me what it's used for. So I've actually got the answer because that company came back and answered it. But Wendy, really for you, have you used it in any way, sodium hydroxide?
No. What is it?
No, well, obviously it's chemical, but it's used in beekeeping microscopy. Was the answer for that? So it's not. It's a cleansing solution. Is my thought. So I seem to remember having to use that in my in the olden days. So I'm just going to go in now to. Let me just find the other questions that I had coming in. Here we go. So a few came in from Facebook earlier on. So just bear with me a second. What else have we got? Yeah, this is quite a good general one, actually, because Wendy, I don't know, do you get much ivy honey where you are?
No, we don't. I think, well, I certainly don't take any ivy honey off because we long since taken our supers off. But going back, we went back actually to one of our apiaries because we thought we needed to feed. And when we actually got there, the hives were so heavy that we really didn't need to feed. So we just assumed that was ivy honey and, that the bees were looking after. themselves rather than needing us to help out.
Yeah, well, that's actually Danny Krieg has actually asked this question, which is, what is your opinion on the availability of stored honey to the bees over winter? It's a tricky one because it's a vital sort of end of season thing, but I've always found it too granulated for mine, so it's not really ever worked.
Well, that's our only concern actually, because ivy honey does granulate. So how easy it is for the bees to get to, I really don't know. Mostly, I mean, we take our supers off a lot earlier in the season. So I've never, you know, actually collected. We've never had a super on at the time when the ivy nectar's coming in. So I don't really have any experience of that, I'm afraid.
Yeah, no, absolutely, no, that's fine. Well, there's another question that actually Danny put forward, which is, do you see any advantages to insulating a wooden hive over the winter? So actually, what I'd like to do, Wendy, if you don't mind, is perhaps you and Claire can just discuss that through, because obviously with your polyhives, you have that insulation. I've always found with my polyhives, they come absolutely roaring out in the spring, always have done, far faster than my wooden hives. But is that an insulation thing? Is it a warmth thing? There is a debate. So I wonder if you wouldn't mind just sort of discussing sort of what you found with insulation, because I know you moved from wooden, didn't you? Was that conscious because of the poly?
You're coming to me first.
Yeah, on that, just because I know you're using the poly stuff.
Well, we never. My husband Steve kept bees years ago, and he kept them in wooden hives. But when we started to look at taking up beekeeping, sort of 6 years ago, we did look at the various types of hives and actually went for Langstroth and polystyrene, because in the winter we just felt that, you know, wooden hives are insulated by using polystyrene. That, I mean, I don't know that that's every beekeeper who's got a wooden hive, but that's certainly one of the reasons that we actually went for the polyhives, and they've been absolutely brilliant. I mean, we never get any condensation. We leave the open mesh floors open all winter, and they do come through very strongly in the spring, I have to say. Never regretted getting polyhives. Never regretted that. Probably regretted the manufacturer that we went to in the first instance, and we wouldn't do that again. We would go to a different supplier. But that's a separate issue. Claire, yeah.
I was going to bring up another separate issue then about polyhives, but it was just because the only hives that I'm used to working on are WBC hives. So in terms of insulation, they were fine all through the winter. I don't know if that extra layer of wood around the hives helps at all. But with polyhives, do you still get the same that you would with a wooden hive, or is that something you miss out on when you're beekeeping with polyhives? Or I know we're drifting off the subject a bit, but
fine. You mean the aroma of the honey?
Yeah, and just the hive itself, and
but you obviously don't get any smell of wood, so there's none of that. But the honey, I mean, that you can, if we've had some down on the heather, and we have, as you've walked up to the hive, sometimes you can actually smell the heather honey. If they've had a good if there's been a good supply of it. I don't know, I would think, WBC hive, I think having the extra layer, yes, I think you're absolutely right that would give extra protection. And I'm only going by the people that I've come into contact with at the association I briefly joined, that they actually, how they insulate their hives in the winter. And polyhives are used in the places like Denmark and Norway, where it's really, really cold weather, because the temperature varies just sort of plus or minus 3 degrees from the temperature. I think the bees keep it at about 35 degrees, don't they? And hives keep that temperature plus or minus 3. So
without the bees having to work so much harder, I guess.
Yes. Yes.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I don't, as I say, I don't regret having bought the poly hives, just the manufacturer that we went to. But there you go.
Guys, just a quick question. Are you now hearing Claire okay?
In the background, I can hear Claire.
Yes.
Fine, right, we'll bring Claire, and I can't unmute you, but you seem to have unmuted yourself, Claire. So are you there?
I'm here, yes.
Hello,
Claire.
Yay.
Blimey, you can take a step back, it's fine, I think we can hear you, so you should be all right.
A minute, I can hear you on the phone.
So put the phone down and... Hello.
That's cool.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
You can.
Technology is wonderful, isn't it? It just never works. I've been trying to get in touch with you for half an hour, and I apologise for the language, but I didn't think you could hear me.
It was just brilliantly timed as well.
I can see them all chattering away, and I couldn't hear a damn thing. It's extremely frustrating.
We've all learnt a new language today, so we're going to have to beat...
Oh, come on, it wasn't that bad.
All right, well, I'll tell you what, Claire, I'm going to pick up on that question that has just come in about supering above or below, because I'm above, Wendy doesn't, and Claire has been taught above. Can you give us the opposite
Wendy
side
doesn't
of your
what?
opinion?
Wendy
Doesn't
doesn't
keep a
super
super on
in the winter?
No.
Well,
so what would you do above?
I put it
below?
above.
What's the argument for and against?
I would put it above, because if you think about the bees' brood nests, where do they store their honey? They don't store it underneath, they store it above it. And the cluster moves up during the winter as it eats through the food. It doesn't move down. So if you put stores underneath, then they're not going to find them, are they? That's my logic. I've never ever put a super of food underneath a colony. I've
No,
always
a lot
put
of
it
people
on top.
have, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, we had this.
Yeah, people do put it underneath, and I'm afraid I can't see the logic of it.
But do you know what the explanation for it is? Just in case there are people out there who want to know.
No.
No, I don't. No.
Adrian probably knows, but I don't, and he's in the other room. So
Hashtag Ask Adrian. That's right.
Yeah.
oh yes. Well, I've told him about that.
We've had a little bit of a joke internally about the concept of Ask Adrian, using it as a hashtag on Twitter and social media for people to join in. Okay, fine. So that I think that settled that one. But again, to all the people who are watching, and there's plenty of you tonight, if you have got an opinion on why to put it beneath rather than above, I'm very, very interested in knowing what that opinion is. Okay, fine. So we've had a couple of questions in through Facebook, and I'm sorry, Wendy and Claire, for sort of letting you just rabbit on about that. But in terms of the insulating, do you see any advantage of insulating a wooden hive over the winter? I mean, I think it does depend on where you are. I know a lot of people who do it just as a precautionary method. But equally, I've seen some amazing photos of hives in some of the sort of darkest depths of Scotland and in sort of Canada, where they are sort of triply wrapped in protective and warming material. But Claire, do you insulate your hives at all?
No, we don't. No. Insulation for bees is bees. I think you need a strong colony and good amount of stores, and they'll come through. I'm not saying that insulating them doesn't help. It doesn't make it a bit easier for them, but it's not something that we've ever done. We did put a big thick layer of well, it's not foam, polystyrene over the top of them 1 year, but they just came up through the feed hole and ate it. So, well, chewed it to bits. They didn't eat it. Sorry. So that didn't last very long. But I think, the most important thing for winter is to have a strong colony that is treated against varroa and is otherwise healthy and has got sufficient food to last it through the winter.
Fair enough. That's pretty.
Other things may well help, but if you've got that, then there's a very good chance that they're going to come through the winter anyway.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, I had another question coming in earlier on, so actually we'll just go backtrack and give you a chance to answer this one, Claire, again, which is, what's your opinion on the availability of stored ivy honey to bees over winter?
Well, the problem with ivy honey is that it granulates like rape does, and bees need water to, excuse me, to use it. They can't use the actual granulated honey unless they've got water to dilute it, because they drink rather than eat. So I know that Adrian has known bees that didn't have anywhere. Terrific flow from the ivy, and the bees were out collecting it. Weather was just right and all the rest of it. And back in the hive, they'd filled every cell and there wasn't anywhere to put it. So they actually still had it in their honey stomachs, and it granulated and it killed them. You know, so if you have got a big ivy flow, then you need to give them somewhere to put it. I've known other people who've rung me up and said, I've got a super of ivy honey, what do I do with it? And the answer is that, you know, you've got to actually melt it out if you want to collect it, because you're not going to get it out any other way. Because, as I say, it's like rape. I mean, rape doesn't go quite so solid as it used to, but it used to go really, really solid. And if you didn't get it out the comb, then again you'd have to scrape it back to the midrib and warm it to get it out.
That's interesting, Claire. I've not heard that before. What? I've not heard people say that rape honey is not as
I don't think it goes off as quickly as it used to.
That's interesting.
Perhaps I've been around too long. Perhaps my old rape honey is quite a bit older than yours.
or you're just getting better at managing it. That's all.
No, they have changed rape. They've changed they've done plant breeding on it, and the rape plants now have it's a different level of one of the oils, or something that they want. So they've bred it so that it has more of whatever the oil is, and I think that's affected the granulation. And I'm sure. I mean, it used one year we were at Northants College, Malton College, the agricultural college, and it was the open day, and I was extracting honey as part of the demonstration, and it was rape honey, and people wanted some, so I was actually bottling it out of the extractor, and it was sitting there and it was going cloudy because it was beginning to granulate straight out of the extractor. And I don't think it does that quite the same way. On the other hand, I've just dealt with a bucket of honey which has taken forever to melt, and I'm sure it's absolutely pure rape honey. It's one that I got from somebody else. And it just wouldn't melt, wouldn't clear. So maybe it does still granulate just as hard. I don't know, but that's my impression, that it doesn't go off as quickly. Let's put it that way. It may go as hard, but it doesn't do it as quickly as it used to.
No, fair enough. Fair enough. I don't suppose any of you. When have you found that? I don't know if you've got a lot of rape where you are.
No, we've only been on rape a couple of years, and so I really have nothing to compare. You know, the length of time it takes to solidify. My problem is actually getting it to ending up with creamed honey, using that with a seed. You know, that's still evades me. I can do it and jar up some, and it's a lovely smooth honey, just like pretty much like double cream. But I've got another lot that I did which has actually gone quite hard again. So
it'll depend on the proportion of rape that you've got in it, I would say, because if you've got a high proportion of rape in your honey, then it's going to set harder than if you've got a high proportion of, say, lime honey.
Yeah.
Simply because the honeys granulate differently. So depending on the proportion you've got, I mean, this lot that I've just done, which has got this, I think, more or less pure rape honey in, I'm expecting it to go relatively hard. But it depends, again, it also depends on what you use as your seed honey. Because if you're using, you know, if you've done something that's gone hard and then you've used that as your seed, then the chances are that that will turn the next lot hard as well. I think, anyway. You know, as I say, I think it's the proportion of the type of honey you've got in there.
Yeah, I think having all this experience of trying to get it into a nice creamed honey, we've actually decided to stay away from oilseed rape fields in future. We thought they were a good idea, but actually it can ruin the foundation, can't it? It can ruin the comb. Over time.
It depends. If you extract it when it's liquid, no, it's no different, surely.
Right.
It's only if it starts to granulate and you have to scrape the comb off then. But we cut ours out anyway, so we don't centrifuge extract ours.
Right.
So it's all solid by the time we cut it out anyway.
No, it's interesting. Just very quickly, you'll notice I've actually put some very funny looking weird text on the screen. I've been trying to discover a way around the problem that I'm just seeing, which is, for those of you, and I have to apologise for anybody who's been asking a question, I've just tested it. It's not feeding through. So please email me directly. And you're like the my little test at the bottom here, which says sample text.
Well, half of it.
Obviously, yeah. I just couldn't I couldn't work out how to use it. So if you want to email me, james@bee-craft.com, any questions or comments now, please do, and I can bring that in. I'm going to leave that floating with my half sample text. This is live, right? This is what happens.
It's this wretched technology again. It's also wobbling up and down at an angle, James. I don't know what you're doing, where it is, and what you're doing with it, but it's definitely.
If I turn like this,
it's on you, is it? Oh, right.
It's hinged. I could get really nuts in a minute, and I will. I'll start playing funny games with this as I go, but I'll stop it now. Okay, so there is another question which did come in, and these are questions I've had in from Facebook. So you'll apologize. This is, I don't know if you guys do. Any of you guys convert your wax into polish out of interest?
Have done. Yep.
Do you know anywhere to buy good quality polish tins? Not a very big provider that Thorns, because apparently they don't do proper polish tins anymore. Any other advice?
Are you talking about the metal ones?
It looks to be, yeah. I
mean, Thorns, I know, do the plastic ones. I didn't know that they'd stopped doing the metal ones.
Well, it's proper, so I don't know what proper necessarily means, but
no, I can only think. Sorry, Wendy.
I was going to say possibly large ones by proper. I mean, the wax polish used to come in, ones
they're about
size, didn't they? About 2-3 inches in diameter. And they used to be
about 10 centimeters and about a centimeter deep with a twist on like the old shoe polish tins.
Okay.
I suspect that they've been phased out because the plastic ones are better.
All right.
Doesn't suit you.
I'll pass that message on.
Doesn't suit you.
And that's it. No.
No, it doesn't. No.
What about this one instead?
He's like
it's a bit better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll try some others as we go. But okay, that's interesting. So that's Ian. That's a question for you.
I suggest that you get in touch with the you look through the websites of all the equipment suppliers and just see if anybody's got them.
Yeah, just Google it.
Quick and easy way, I think, just to ask Scott. So, okay, another question came in about DEFRA and what is it doing about neonics on honeybees, which I think are fast disappearing. I think it's a very generalistic sort of question, really. Any updates, Claire, from the world of DEFRA and what they're up to?
Not that I know of, no. I mean, they're not going to do anything about neonics anyway. It depends what you mean by do. I don't quite understand what the questioner is actually trying to find out.
Okay,
I'm
all right,
sorry.
fair enough. It's a very open-ended question. So, Colin, maybe a little bit more information on that. If you can sort of.
Yeah, I mean, the DEFRA isn't in a position to ban or allow neonics at all. I mean, it can make recommendations, but there's all sorts of other people making recommendations.
Mm.
As far as I know, I think, when does the ban? Is it next year? It runs out officially. Haven't heard whether it's going to be carried on or not. I think the general thought is that the ban will be continued, but that's not an official line in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, so France delays the ban until 2018.
All right, okay.
I'll come back to you with
Delays the ban.
Delays ban on neonicotinoids until 2018. That was announced end of July. Our risk evaluation is the end of January 2017.
Right.
So
well, in that case, we won't get anything official then until probably well after that, but certainly not before that.
Yeah, we shall see. We shall see.
Yeah.
On that note, actually, obviously we've talked a lot about the Asian hornets in the last couple of hangouts. Have we got any more news on that from anywhere? If any of you guys have heard anything?
Well, Bee Base put out a RSS feed about it. I'm afraid it came in while I was away, and I just sort of skimmed over it. And it basically, I think they've said that they haven't found any more nests or any more insects. But on the other hand, if there were queens produced from the nests that they found, those queens will now be hibernating. So everybody's got to be vigilant in the spring to keep an eye out, because that's when we're next going to see them. You're very unlikely to see them now, I would have thought. Although I did see some wasps out today.
Did you?
So, yes, I did.
And just remind everyone where you're based, Claire.
I'm in Northamptonshire, in the Midlands. I was cleaning up I'd been doing some honey, and I was cleaning up the equipment out on the yard, and lo and behold, there were a couple of wasps come around looking.
Crikey, that is late, isn't it? Well, I just want to say that occasionally I do have a...
No, sorry, James.
No, is that not right either?
No,
can't get that. Okay, damn. Rats. Go back to the drawing board.
Can I just say, the Asian hornet, if I can just say, I was told that although they have these big nests high up, they also have satellite nests a bit lower down, that they, if for whatever reason, if they don't get back to the main nest, that they have satellite ones. I don't know if that's correct or not.
Not heard that, I must admit. It's not something I've heard at all or seen anywhere. So, sorry, Claire, go on.
No, I was just gonna, because I was speaking to someone the other day. Would it be an advantage that we're going into winter, that leaves would fall off trees, and that if there are any nests, we'd be able to see them, or would we have to? Yeah, but it's springtime, I guess, is when it could all kick off again.
Springtime. Well, if with the leaves off the trees, you'll see any existing nests, because those nests will have died out. But they will have raised new queens and drones, which will have mated, and then the drones and the rest of the workers and the whole nest just dies. I mean, the nest will disintegrate over winter, I guess, with the weather, but the queens then go and hibernate. And
where do they hibernate generally, Claire? Do you know that?
Well, I think anywhere that's warm and cozy.
But it's not in the original nest that they had.
No. They leave the nest as far as I know.
It's like wasps, isn't it?
They don't go back to the nest. They don't go back and refurbish it. They start again, and this is what will happen in the spring. The queens will come out and they'll start building another nest, and they will lay eggs. They will, collect food. They will raise the young, and then the workers. It's exactly the same cycle as a wasp or a bumblebee. They raise the workers, and as the number of workers increases, they go out foraging, and the queen stays at home and just concentrates on laying eggs.
And how do we know how long a queen will live for?
Well, I presume she lives for a season. I think she lives for a season. I think she dies at the end of the season along with the nest. I think certainly that's what happens with wasps.
And they generate a new queen, which then hibernates.
The old queen lays new queens, and it's the new queens that go and hibernate. And the old queen dies off at the end of the year. Although some bumblebee queens have been known to survive the winter.
Good old bumbles.
depending on the winter.
Yes, absolutely. Well, it's meant to be a pretty bad winter, from what I understand.
Yeah, well, that
year.
will be good for us. Bad for bumblebees. Good for us in terms of hornets. The bees should be all right.
I remember, funny enough, I remember again at the start of this year, because Wendy, you'll remember we had discussions with Rodri as well, and certainly in South Wales they were having huge problems because it was such a mild winter.
Yes.
They had a lot of failed queens and succession, and he just said it was a bit of a nightmare, which meant his crop of honey and his hives were in dire straits all year because of that mild winter, wasn't it?
Yes.
So,
yeah.
Well, a mild winter, you've got a better chance that a colony is going to eat through its food and starve. You know, because they'll be more active. They will fly on good days to defecate and possibly to collect water. But you know, they're likely to eat through their food quicker than if it's a cold winter.
Absolutely.
So you just need to make sure you know, and if necessary, put some candy on.
Yeah.
Or fondant, whatever you want to call it.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, look, we're coming into the last sort of few minutes for those of you who are watching. So I'm just going to bring another question that we had from Facebook earlier on, and I think it's a bit of a sort of a philosophical one, really. Again, from Danny, who said, "Is pursuing research into hygienic bees the way to go, or should research lean towards virus variants and super infection?" Anyone got an opinion on that? Because there seems to be quite a sort of two channels of thought on this. What do you guys think? Any opinions, one way or the other? I mean, personally, just while you guys are thinking, I don't think there's any one way of working this. I think
we've got to attack it on all sides.
That's a great answer, isn't it? Both. But I mean,
yeah.
Oh, fair enough.
I think one of the problems with breeding queens is maintaining those queens. I think that is the problem. You can have a hygienic queen, but if her offspring then go and mate with unhygienic drones, so to speak, then you are introducing the unhygienic gene back into the colony.
Yeah.
So the only real way to maintain it is to make sure that all the drones in the area are also hygienic, or you're doing instrumental insemination from drones known to come from hygienic queens. I mean, that is the problem with queen breeding, you know, full stop. To maintain a strain that you produce or that you build up, to maintain it is very difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
There are just so many other beekeepers around, although you think that there aren't many beekeepers in an area. If you actually even look on BeeBase, you'll find within your own given area there are a huge number of beekeepers registered. They might only have 1 or 2 hives, but that means that their drones are going to mate potentially with your virgin queens. So it's a very difficult thing to actually try and maintain good quality queens and good quality drones. I mean, I think a lot of the problems, we always complain and say the queens aren't doing their job properly, but I think a lot of that's to do with the mating, and I think it's the get it right, Wendy, the quality of the drone semen. To be honest.
Well, that's going to be a factor. Yeah, I mean, last year we had
a little Danish island somewhere where we can keep it all to ourselves.
Well, that's what I mean. That's island mating is one of the ways to making sure that you get a pure mating, or as pure as you can get. I mean, the British RSB Breeders Association did some experiments on Spurn Point, on the east of England. It's that can't think of spit that comes down off the coast, and we took hives right down to the end of that spit, right through all the thorn bushes and everything, and there certainly weren't any bees around there that weren't ours. You know, so you've got to find an isolated place if you want to try and keep your things. Or an alternative is to flood the area with your drones.
Yeah.
And then hopefully that will influence the queens of the other beekeepers, and gradually, you know, you can change the character of the bees in your area. But we had lots of swarms arrive in our colonies this year, and they were all carniolan.
They're very
And they
small.
swarm like, what's it?
Yeah.
Yeah, no more of that.
They're
Claire,
very
no more.
small.
I didn't say it.
No, I know.
Would have been worse than what I said before.
Yeah. I've got another one for you. What do you think about this one? Right, here you go. What do you think? Is that me?
A little elf.
All right, maybe these ones instead. There you go. A few little love hearts.
You're just playing, James.
I was trying to find some bees. I haven't got these. I'm gutted. My personal favourite one is this one, and I'm gonna do it like a pirate. So it's very, very serious now. Obviously, we're coming into the winter. Beekeepers are going to put their feet up, relax. What should beekeepers do in the off season? Wendy, what do you do in the off season?
What do I do? Make sure that all equipment's ready for next year, because we always get caught out with something that isn't quite ready. So we will be doing that to make sure that everything's ready for next season. Catching up on reading, catching up on all the things that have been left in the house that haven't been done because we've been spending too much time beekeeping and everything else. So it's a catch-up time, really, and time to take a bit of time out, go away for a few days here and there, and just try and enjoy ourselves.
All right,
just
Claire,
chill.
Claire, what are you going to do? As in Claire, without an E. What are you going to do this winter in terms of your beekeeping?
I'm gonna bite the bullet, and I'm probably gonna stop being so fussy about where I'm gonna put my hive, and just either have it in the garden where I am now, or just try and find a local allotment or farmland, or just somewhere. Just stop putting it off, because it has to be the perfect place. Which yeah, I think it's more just resistance and fear and all that kind of stuff. So, but that's my priority, is just get my colony up and ready for next year, which involves going and picking up my hive, doing lots of reading, and yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to it.
Do you have an association apiary? Does your association have an apiary? Let's put it that way.
Well, no, they probably do, because I've just come back to the area. I still need to, and join my local BBKA as well. So yeah. Because
what you might find is that you could actually put your hive into the association apiary to start with, and get used to it. And then, you know, you're likely to bump into other beekeepers who can help you when you're going, what do I do?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
And Claire, as a seasoned pro, other than working out on the well, in fact, do you know what? The technology side, I owe you an article on beekeeping technology. So I'm
right. Okay.
I'm going to
make a note of that.
Yeah. Well, I promised you. I did promise you I'd do it. So things like weighing of hives remotely, and the Internet of Things and beekeeping, which I think is quite fascinating.
Right. We will put that into the schedule. So expect Stephen to be in touch with you.
Yeah. Oh no, really? Oh, don't calm down that much. But no, I'm gonna do your two loves, technology and beekeeping, and in one article, just for you.
Yeah, excellent.
Well, but what about you though?
For winter, winter is a good time for actually looking through all your records and just deciding what you're going to do next year. Which colonies were good ones, which were bad ones, which ones need requeening, which ones, you know, had problems with disease, what you're going to do. I mean, as well as getting all the equipment sorted out, as Wendy said, and deciding where you're going to put things, as T'other Claire said. You know, it's a good time to actually sit back and look at what happened and decide what you want to do next year. If you want to raise some queens, a few queens, then you've got to decide which colony you're going to use as the breeder queen, for instance. If you've got a colony that didn't build up, test it for nosema, or acrin as well, possibly, but certainly nosema. And if it did have nosema, decide what you're going to do in the spring. If you've got several with nosema, then you can lump the whole lot together in the spring, and they've got a good chance of actually getting over it.
So
with numbers.
Despite all the bad language, the advice, it's amazing. That's why you're here.
Awesome.
You've been. Do you know what my advice is? Is to go and get some creamed honey on toast. because that's my favourite, and it's probably the only time.
What are you going to do in the winter, James?
Actually, funny enough, it's quite similar to what Claire without an E is going to do as well, which is reassess sort of the positions of my hive. I've had from a land perspective, I've had a very sort of regrettable situation with my with the landowner where I actually put the beehives, and going to have to move them. So really assessing where it's going to be. And
yeah,
you know, that's what happens sometimes. So.
Yeah, I mean, moving hives is another thing in the winter. You know, that's the other thing you can do if it's a cold spell. You can actually move them across the apiary. If you know it's going to be cold, or the forecast is for it going to be cold for sort of a week or 10 days, then you can actually shift a hive quite a long way. And when they come out again, they'll sort of say, "Oh, hang on a minute," and they usually stay where they are. You know,
yeah.
I mean,
so that's exactly what I would do. Yeah, most
you know,
definitely.
otherwise you've only got to move it sort of in jumps. But if it's a cold spell, you can move it a much longer distance.
Yeah. No, absolutely. That's what I should be doing. So lots on. So look, on that note, obviously we're just coming to the end. So I just want to thank everybody who's watched them, and there's plenty of you. So thank you for tuning in, as always, and excuse the few little issues through this, but I'm not sure if we're going to have one next month. We sometimes do, sometimes don't. I would like to have one if we can. It's been a pleasure to have the two Claires with us this time, isn't it, Wendy? It's lovely.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, it's great.
Really nice. So welcome to the team, new Claire, and I can't say old Claire, can I?
Yes, you can actually.
Claire and Clary.
Yeah, I'll take that one right back. But,
In Nepal, I was always called Clara, but don't particularly want to be called Clara.
I'll take Clara then, because I'm used to being called that.
Clara and Claire.
Clara. There we go.
Right. So anyway, thank you so much, and we'll do a write-up on this as well, and get some. If there are any questions, you know, obviously we've struggled to get the emails in, so I apologise for that. But anyway, look, have a wonderful rest of November, and hopefully we will be back in December. And look out for the new issue which has just come out, I believe, and the mobile edition should be live now on your iPads. Claire, is that the case? I think we've just had the digital edition.
Imminently, it's coming in. Yeah, in the next couple of days, it'll be live. But yeah,
perfect. So that'll be it. So look out for that if you're there. If you haven't, do go to bee-craft.com and obviously do subscribe. We're obviously all over the place, and you get electronic versions as well on your mobile, on your tablets, and your Kindles, and all this sort of stuff. So do join us there. So hopefully until next month, we'll see you then. So thanks, Claire, Clara, old Claire, new Claire, and Wendy.
Thank you.
Cheers. Bye, everyone.